I never should have rented that house. The price was too good to be true for a property that size in that neighborhood. But aren't we all looking for a bargain these days? The real estate agent was oddly insistent that I take it. Did you notice how she barely let me think about it before pushing the paperwork toward me? I moved in on a Tuesday. The previous owners had left abruptly, according to neighbors. Would you believe they didn't even take all their furniture? The first night was peaceful enough. I unpacked my essentials and ordered takeout. Don't we all just want that first night in a new place to feel normal? It was on the second night that I first heard the noises. Subtle at first, a soft scraping sound coming from somewhere below my bedroom. Was it just the house settling? I tried to ignore it, buried my head under my pillow. But haven't you found that the harder you try not to hear something, the louder it seems to become? By the third night, I was certain the sounds were coming from the basement. A rhythmic tapping, followed by scratching. Didn't that sound like fingernails on concrete? The basement door was in the kitchen, secured with an unusual lock. Had I noticed before how new that lock looked compared to the rest of the house? I called the real estate agent the next morning. "Is there something I should know about the basement?" I asked her. She paused a beat too long. "It's unfinished," she said finally. "Nothing down there but the water heater and furnace." But wasn't there something strange about her tone? That night, the noises grew louder. Tap, tap, scratch. Tap, tap, scratch. Didn't it sound almost deliberate now? I pulled the covers over my head and tried to sleep, but around 3 a.m., another sound joined the first. Was that whispering coming through the heating vents? The next day, I examined the basement door more carefully. The lock wasn't just new. It was industrial grade, the kind you'd see on a storage unit for valuable items. Why would someone put such a serious lock on a basement door? I went to the hardware store that afternoon and bought a small wireless security camera. Wouldn't you do the same if you were alone in a strange house with strange noises? I set up the camera facing the basement door and connected it to my phone. Doesn't technology make us feel safer, even when it shouldn't? That night I lay in bed watching the live feed from the camera. The basement door remained closed. No movement, but the noises continued. Tap, tap, scratch. The whispers grew more distinct. Couldn't I almost make out words now? At 2:47 a.m., the feed on my phone went black. Had the camera battery died already? I crept downstairs to check. The camera was exactly where I'd left it, but it had been turned to face the wall. Wasn't I the only one who knew it was there? My hands trembled as I adjusted the camera back to its original position. The basement door remained firmly locked. How could anyone have moved the camera without opening that door? I didn't sleep the rest of that night. Would you have been able to? In the morning light, I convinced myself I was being ridiculous. Houses make noises. Maybe there were mice in the walls. Didn't old houses always have some kind of pest problem? I called a pest control company. The technician arrived that afternoon. A middle-aged man with tired eyes. "Noises in the basement, huh?" he said, examining the locked door. "Mind if I take a look down there?" I handed him the key that came with the house. Hadn't the real estate agent been reluctant to give it to me? The key turned, but the door wouldn't budge. Didn't it seem like something was holding it shut from the other side? The technician pushed harder. The door gave way suddenly, with a scraping sound. Was that the same scraping I'd been hearing at night? We both peered down into the darkness. The basement stairs disappeared into black. The technician flipped the light switch, but nothing happened. Wasn't that convenient? Got a flashlight? He asked. I fetched one from my emergency kit. Shouldn't every homeowner be prepared for power outages? The technician descended the stairs first, the beam of light bouncing off the concrete walls. I followed hesitantly. Wouldn't you have been curious despite your fear? The basement was larger than I expected, extending under the entire house. The air was cold and damp. Didn't it smell strange to you too? I don't see any signs of rodents, the technician said, sweeping the flashlight across the floor. No droppings, no nesting materials. I was about to suggest we head back upstairs when his light caught something in the far corner. What was that dark stain spreading across the concrete? The technician moved closer, crouching down to examine it. This looks like... He began, but didn't finish the sentence. Wasn't it obvious what it was? Let's get out of here, he said, suddenly standing up. I'd recommend you call the police. As we turned to leave, the flashlight beam swept across the wall. Didn't we both freeze at what we saw? Scratch marks, hundreds of them. Some appeared to form letters. Didn't they spell out, "Help me," over and over? The beam moved to the bottom of the stairs. There, huddled in the corner, was a small pile of items. A plastic water bottle, a few food wrappers, a torn piece of fabric that might once have been a blanket. How long had these things been there? Those aren't from pests, the technician whispered. Wasn't the fear in his voice making your heart race too? We hurried back up the stairs. As I reached for the basement door, it slammed shut. Hadn't we left it wide open? The technician yanked at the handle, but it wouldn't move. Isn't it strange how quickly panic can set in when you're trapped? Is there another way out? He asked, his voice higher than before. I shook my head. Not that I know of. But really, how well did I know this house after less than a week? The flashlight began to flicker. Weren't you afraid it would go out completely? Hello? A voice called from the darkness behind us. Software raspy, as if it hadn't been used much lately. Didn't it sound like a child? The technician's grip on my arm tightened. Did you hear that? He whispered. The flashlight died. Complete darkness enveloped us. Couldn't you feel something moving closer in the blackness? I've been waiting for someone to find me, the voice said, closer now. The other stopped looking. I fumbled with my phone, trying to turn on its flashlight. When the beam finally lit up, wasn't what you saw enough to make your heart stop. A figure stood at the bottom of the stairs, pale, impossibly thin. Long matted hair obscured most of its face. The fingers were bloody, nails worn down to nothing. Hadn't those fingers made the scratching sounds I'd been hearing? Who are you? The technician managed to ask. The figure tilted its head. I used to live upstairs, it said, until they decided I belonged down here. The technician pushed past me, slamming his body against the door. Wouldn't you have done the same? The door gave way suddenly. We tumbled into the kitchen. Didn't we both scramble to our feet faster than seemed possible? The technician ran straight out the front door. I heard his truck start up and peel away. Was he really leaving me alone with whatever was in my basement? I slammed the basement door shut and slid the lock into place, my hands shaking so badly I could barely manage it. Would that lock really keep anything inside that wanted to get out? I grabbed my car keys and phone, not bothering with anything else. Wasn't getting out more important than any possession? As I reached my front door, The power in the house cut out. Didn't your heart sink when the darkness fell? In the silence that followed, I heard the basement lock slide open. Wasn't that sound the most terrifying thing you'd ever heard? I yanked open the front door and ran to my car. As I pulled away from the house, I glanced in my rearview mirror. Didn't you see it too? A pale face in the upstairs window, watching me leave. I drove straight to the police station. The officer at the desk listened to my story with increasing concern. That address, he said finally. We've had reports about that house before. He pulled up something on his computer. The previous family, he said slowly. They reported a child missing 3 years ago. 7-year-old daughter. The investigation stalled when the family suddenly moved away. I felt cold all over. Did they ever find her? The officer shook his head. No trace. It was like she vanished into thin air. They sent 3 patrol cars to the house. I waited at the station, unable to shake the image of that pale, thin figure from my mind. Had that once been someone's daughter? The officers returned 2 hours later. House is empty, the sergeant told me. We searched every inch of it, including the basement. No sign of anyone. But I began. There was evidence someone had been in the basement recently, he interrupted. Scratch marks on the walls, some food wrappers. But nobody's there now. I never returned to the house. Left everything I owned inside. Wouldn't you have done the same? The real estate company denied any knowledge of problems with the property. The previous owners couldn't be located for comment. Aren't there always loose ends in stories like these? Sometimes I think about that pale figure. Where did it go? Is it still somehow in that house, waiting for the next tenant? Or is it following me, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? And sometimes, late at night, I hear familiar sounds, tap, tap, scratch, coming from somewhere inside my new apartment walls. Is it trying to get out or trying to get in? You'll understand if I don't give you my address. But if you're house hunting and find a place that seems too good to be true, with a basement door that has an unusually strong lock, wouldn't it be better to just keep looking? After all, aren't some bargains far too costly in the end? If you're still watching, you made it out alive, this time. But there are more dark secrets waiting to be uncovered. Don't you want to hear them all? Tap like if this story kept you awake tonight. Leave a comment sharing what you would have done if you found that basement door. Would you have opened it? Subscribe now and press the bell. Because just like that basement lock, you'll need to know the moment something creeps out of the darkness.